Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois will clash on the 26th of August for the unified heavyweight titles. This is a complete mismatch in my opinion, and Daniel Dubois has previously shown to me that he's in no way ready for this kind of fight. And his performance in his last fight against Kevin Lerena clearly showed that. Yes, I understand I think he twisted his ankle or he hurt his leg in the process. And yeah, he dug deep and got through it. But Kevin Lerena is literally not even a percentage of the fighter that Alexander Usyk is. Alexander Usyk is a well-seasoned, professional. He's got all the accolades to prove it. Olympic gold medalist, undisputed cruiserweight world champion. Now he's a unified heavyweight champion of the world. And, he's no mug, Alexander Usyk. And I feel like this fight is going to pose a lot of problems for Daniel Dubois. And it could really affect his confidence moving forward should this fight happen. Because I believe it's a one-way traffic and Alexander Usyk beats him quite easily. Obviously, on the flip side, we'd get to see heavyweight boxers fight, and we know there's a lot of nonsense going on in the heavyweight division. Fights falling through, it being unclear on what Tyson Fury's doing. We know that he's rumored to be taking on Francis Ngannou next, which I believe is criminal, and he should be stripped for that because you're the heavyweight champion of the world. Why is it such a problem to get a title defense for you? I do understand he's had title defenses against Dillian White and Derek Chisora, and he had the third fight with Wilder, but it seems as though whenever it comes for fighting real live opponents and guys that pose a little bit of a threat to Tyson Fury, he doesn't want to hear any of it. And I do understand that boxing is a business and it's all about making the most amount of money that you can, but they are big money fights for him to make in the heavyweight division. We look at the likes of Alexander Usyk. The Saudis were willing to put up millions and millions of pounds to make that fight happen. But there's a lot of stalling. We know that we're hearing now that Tyson Fury may not even be part of the Saudi card in December with Joshua Wilder and him and Usyk. So on the flip side, this is only good for Alexander Usyk because he gets active. He's another heavyweight who's been really inactive. Ever since the Boxing Super Series that he won, he's been really inactive. He's only fought like once a year ever since then. So it'll be good for him to get out and get the ring rust off, as by the time the fight comes around, he would have been out for a whole year. Now, obviously, that is no good as he's no spring chicken. He's 35, 36 years old. So, time will catch up to him eventually, despite the good fighter that he is. Anyways, how do I think this fight is going to go? Well, we've seen that Daniel Dubois has recently teamed up with Don Charles' trainer, Derek Chisora, for this fight. Now, I think the good thing about that link-up is that before that, Daniel Dubois was in the gym with Shane McGuigan and other talented fighters. So it was a busy gym. So you could make the argument that Daniel Dubois did not get that full attention that he could get, obviously, because Shane McGuigan had commitments to Daniel Dubois, but he also had commitments to his other fighters as well. You look at the two Azim brothers, Caroline Dubois, there's Chris Billum-Smith. There's so many good fighters who are fighting at a good level. So I feel like Don Charles, he hasn't got any notable names in his stable except for Derek Chisora and Daniel Dubois now. So that could only do Daniel Dubois a world of good, as he will have someone there for him 24/7. And, that will obviously help in his development. But I think the first fight together against such a tricky opponent like Alexander Usyk could be, the undoing of Daniel Dubois. I don't really think he's ready for that fight. I feel like he's probably another 2 to 3, at least 3 fights away from fighting for a world title. He needs to beat a few more notable names because he hasn't convinced me yet as someone who's ready to win a world title. Yes, it's all well and good going up and fighting for a world title, but you don't want to do that and become second best. You want to go there, win the title and, reign for a while, because there's no sustainability in winning a title but then losing it in your first defense, or going up and challenging, but every time you step up, you lose. He's still a young man. There's no need to rush with him. He's only 25, 26 years old. There's plenty of time. And for a heavyweight, he's a baby still. You know, a lot of these guys are going to go on to retire in the next 2 to 3 years. Dubois will still be around, you know, to face the likes of Jared Anderson's, etc. So I feel as though this ain't exactly the best move for Dubois. But of course, you're not going to turn down a career high payday and an opportunity to fight for a unified heavyweight title, especially with the uncertainty of the heavyweight division. You know, he's got a puncher's chance in this fight, really and truly. But it's one thing having a punch, but it's another thing landing it on someone like Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk is fast. He's got good movement. He's a southpaw. And he's shown that, yes, he may not be the biggest of power punchers, but he has got enough zap in his punches to wobble people. We saw it in the AJ fight where he was able to stun AJ a few times with the backhand. How do I see this fight playing out? I see Alexander Usyk pretty much being a bit too tricky for Daniel Dubois. And I see Dubois maybe biting down on his gum shield and trying to go for it. But Alexander Usyk will weather the storm like the champion he is. And, you know, I think he'll rise to the occasion. And I feel like it'll be too much for Daniel Dubois. The occasion being the away fighter in Poland. We've seen Daniel Dubois, you know, take the knee when things are getting a bit tough in his backyard. So how's he going to deal with a hostile environment with a lot of Eastern Europeans cheering on Alexander Usyk? I don't think he'll be able to handle that well. And, you know, he's shown against much lesser opponents that, you know, he is willing to, you know, take a knee if it gets a bit tough for him. But I see Alexander Usyk just methodically beating him, slowly breaking him down and potentially even stopping him, or the towel. I think actually, yeah, that's my final prediction. I think the towel is going to get thrown in. I think Dubois is going to be getting hit, and he's not going to know where he is. He's going to be confused in there, and Usyk will just pretty much have a field day with him. And I see Don Charles throwing in the towel and Alexander Usyk winning in about the 9th or 10th round. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is a wise move for Daniel Dubois? Where do you think he goes if he loses this fight? And what an upset it could be if he was to pull off a victory against Alexander Usyk and spoil the party. See you guys in the next one.